Hello, people. How are you this day, this moment, this time? I praise our Holy Father for everything. I'm going to blow this shofar. Oh, it's imperfect, but the attempt is with me. I know Father is amazing. I'm so thankful for His love and His mercy and His forgiveness. I pray that He forgives us and remembers that we are the dust of this earth. Father, you are holy and righteous and mighty. You are our holy, oh, living, I praise you every day and every night. I praise you too. Well, as you can see, I'm not really good at playing the harp, but the attempt is there. But Father, I am thankful. I'm thankful for all of your servants, Father, that you're raising up for the days ahead. I pray that you strengthen them and bless them and hold them, protect them from all evil and temptations. I pray that you help us all get through, Father. Let us all be able to walk into our place that you have designed for each of us. And be with us, Father. Guide us. Let the angel of your presence go before all of us. For our moments in time. Such a time as this, as they say. You are raising up your servants, and I praise you, Father. Father, I ask, I plead Let this teaching tonight belong to Thee, Father. And let it be used to glorify Thee. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy existence, and even so thy name. Thy kingdom is come and thy will is done, on this earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses against thee. Teach us to forgive others the same way you forgive us, Father. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever, in the name of the Holy Lamb, the one with the 7 eyes, which are your 7 spirits, whose name on this earth was Yahshua, but in your kingdom nobody knows his name but thee, O living one who is, and there is no other. But moreover, I come to you in your name, O living Yod-Heh, Vav-Heh, Yahovah. So, praise you, Father, you're so holy. I had prayed probably a couple of months ago. I kept seeing the topic of abortion, right? Pro-life and pro-abortion and just. And it was so heavy that I couldn't help but go to Father and say, Father, is this something you need me to address now? Because you have to understand, it isn't something that I had ever chosen to address per se, because I already saw it within myself and saw it within the realm of everything a certain way. So I'd ask Father, to open it up to me in another place, in another light, another way, so that perhaps I could teach on it. And I left it at that. Well, Thursday before I woke up, I had a dream. And lately I'm starting to have a lot of dreams, like every night. I'm starting to have the dreams of the prophets. Whereas I would dream, and I would dream the dreams of the messengers. But now the dreams of the prophets have come upon me. But in this dream, there was like a ranch-style house, and it was brick. And I was inside the house, and I and my crew, whomever that was, I apparently had a crew. We had apparently just finished up some videos and was preparing them. And apparently we had uploaded them also. And in the dream, it was like I was preparing for some kind of a feast, right? Some kind of a supper. And it just so happened that I had my computer and my screens and everything on the end of the table. And it was a pretty decent sized long table. Bigger than what I would normally have. Probably double. It was a nice sized table. So I had my crew help me take the screens and everything off of the table and put them like on the floor at the end of the table, because they were on the end of the table. So we just put them on the floor right there. And I remember one person in the crew she had taken the mouse and put it in a top drawer, but I was kind of paying attention, but not really. So I had went outside while they were still putting things away to start preparing for the feast. And I went outside my back door, and I had a back stoop that was concrete. And it had a covering, but there was no, like, poles holding the covering up. You know, the porch, roof. But that wasn't what I paid attention to. What I paid attention to when I walked out the door was there was a fetus that was really small. It was probably like maybe 3 inches long and maybe an inch wide, but it was bloody, and I saw it there, and I knew that it was an aborted fetus, and I questioned, why is it on my back porch? I did question that at some point, but at that moment I didn't question it. I just was like, oh my God. And they say fetuses are not babies, and this has its arms and its legs and its head, but it was clear it was smashed, and I thought, man, how devastating, and I just kind of went back inside for something, and we were still preparing, and then I went back outside, and a little further off on like at the corner of the back porch was a bigger sized fetus that had been aborted, and it didn't have any eyes, right? But it was like it had its arms, it had its legs, and when I was coming out the back door, because I was talking to my crew, I saw it raise up on all fours. It heard my voice. And when I went out the door and I saw it, and it was crying out to me. Its head was pointed in my direction, like it didn't have eyes, but it apparently could hear my voice. And it was crying, and it kept crying. And I became so upset. I was so upset. And I said, oh my gosh, how can I save this fetus? And I started thinking about pushing it up inside of me. Maybe it would attach to my uterus somehow, and perhaps it would go inside of me, and I could help it grow. And then I thought, no, I know I don't know if I can do that. Maybe if I could find someone else that I could put it up into so that it could have life, And this was my thought. And I don't know why, but I was upset. I was blown away. And then my crew could hear me outside crying and upset. So, this guy comes out that was apparently a part of my crew. And he came out. And I was pointing at the baby. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, they say that the baby's not alive. We've got to videotape this. We've got to hurry up and get it together and video. I know it's going to die. I just knew it was going to die. I knew there was nothing that we could do for it. Nothing. And I thought, well, if nothing else, we can videotape and videotape this baby crying at this stage of life so that the world can see that, no, these are babies even at this stage. And, the baby was no bigger. I guess it was probably about 5 inches or 6 inches, but it was more like fleshy, which I didn't even see the other one, and I don't know now looking back if it was the same one, but definitely when I woke up, I said, okay, Father, put this child on my back porch, letting me know I'm responsible. I'm responsible to teach on this. So I knew when I woke up I needed to teach on it. And I remember going in, and we took the computer and everything and put it back on the table so that we could prepare to get it ready to upload somehow. But the girl had put my mouse, and I couldn't remember that. I knew she put it in a top drawer, but I didn't know which top drawer of these different dressers, because there was these dressers there, and like the 6 drawer Chester drawers, and the wide dressers, where 3 on one side, 3 on the other, those type dressers. And I was yelling at her. I'm like, you've got to find it. You got to get the mouse. You got to get the mouse. We can't do anything without that. And she couldn't remember. Like, she was ditzy and klutzy a little, and she was looking at it. And I'm like, whoa, look at that one. Look at that top. It was a top drawer. It was a top drawer you put it in. And I kept telling her it was a top drawer. And she finally found it and pulled it out. And we started getting things together. And the guy was going to bring the baby in so that we could videotape it crying, so that everyone could hear it crying. And then I came out of the dream and out of the vision. And there is so many limbs. This is a tree that has a lot of limbs to it. Wisdom looks at things differently. And wisdom has so many facets. And everything has a lot of facets to it. A lot of variables, I guess. And this is no different. There's a lot of variables with this particular issue. When I was younger, 20 years ago, I had 30 some years ago, I had asked Father for his wisdom. And 20 some years ago, when he was taking me through the scriptures and stuff, one of the things that I looked at was abortion at that time. And when you're learning, you're reading it line upon line, learning precept on precept, one of the things that you learn is the spirit realm is separate from the physical. And one of the things that was poured into me is that we all come through the flesh, okay? And we all come through the flesh so that we can be in a position to make choices, right? Because everything's about making choices. So I knew at the time, like, the Catholic Church and the churches were so gung-ho on, being against, abortion. And at that time, when I looked at it as, there's a part of me that felt like the church wanted to make sure everyone was born into the world so that they would have that opportunity to help them fail, basically. To help that person as they grow to be able to tempt them into evil, right? So I looked at abortion as, well, those fetuses become seraphim, right? And they become these little angels with wings, like little babies, like you see, sometimes. And that they escaped coming through the flesh and being tempted by evil. So there was a part of me that looked at it, a great part of me that looked at it in that aspect. But Father has been he gave me like another variable of it, and then another variable, and then another variable. And I'm not going to get into that in this particular teaching. But the one thing that was poured into me is once a child is conceived, The moment the sperm hits the egg and it is conceived, and it is decided what the sex is going to be, it is given a living soul at that moment. Imagine being an angel in heaven. Okay, imagine. And that you get to come to this earth and you go through and look at all of the different paths that you could take. And you find one. And you're like, okay, well, I'm going to take this path. Because I know if I take this path, I will be able to overcome, because you look at everything that person goes through from its birth until it dies, until it comes back. But someone made the decision to make sure you don't come through the world. Someone else. Someone screaming, "It's my body," made the decision to keep you from fulfilling the mission that the Most High gave you. There is a selfishness to that, and an evil selfishness. A few weeks back, when I was looking at it a little bit, and I would see these women, "It's my body, it's my body. It's my womb, it's nothing, it's, just whatever, it's just a lump of something." The Most High reminded me that this earth is like a womb, and each of us is like the dust of the earth. And yet we all belong to Him. And He whipped it into me that these people that aren't quite right or whatever, or have mental issues, that take guns and go into schools and shoot up children, this is a form of abortion from off the earth. And it's Father's body. It's Father's womb. The earth is Father's womb. So when women stop proclaiming, "This is my body," and aborting the fetuses, then the Father will consider not putting it in someone's heart to take out a school. Seems like a harsh statement. It seems very harsh, but in the scope of everything, if you are so cold that you look at a fetus in your womb, which is the purpose of your womb, as just a clump of nothing that just needs to be pulled out and destroyed and thrown in the trash. You're that cold. Then why shouldn't the Most High be cold also? Why should He not cause a volcano to erupt and kill millions of people? After all, it's His womb. He can do what He wants with it and with everything within it. The women are not getting that sperm that shoots out of a man's penis, it's alive. It's a living organism. It's already alive. When he squirts it inside your uterus, it's alive. Your egg comes down into the fallopian tube to be impregnated by that living DNA, that living cell that is speeding to get to it. That's its function, that's its job, that's what it's designed to do. That 1,000,000-to-1 shot and it makes it, and you don't see that as incredible. All of the sources of birth control that's out there, you don't find it in your best interest if you are that lazy, if you don't want to raise a child, okay? But believe it or not, that ball of nothingness, you call it, that's inside of you, half of it belongs to a man that planted it there. He actually should have rights to that also. You don't want a fetus growing inside your body, but you want a man to shoot sperm in there. Seems a little on the contradictory side, a little hypocritical. I do what I want with my body. Apparently, you probably should work on getting paid, because Father, forgive me. Don't murder. Don't take that chance for that angel to come through the earth for its mission. Don't take it from it. Bring that child. Don't be so cold. If you don't want a baby, have him wear a rubber. If you're allergic to latex, there are other ways. There are other ways. To prevent an unwanted pregnancy. The greatest way to prevent unwanted pregnancies is not to spread your legs in the first place. That seems, I'm sure, a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Ancient, I guess. Prehistoric. But that's the best way. Don't put yourself in that position in the first place. Focus on other things. We all do things. We all do. All of us. But aborting a child, that's not fair to that child, that baby, that entity that had a chance to come into the world. And you have selfishly taken it from them. Because you're screaming it's your body, you can do what you want with it. The moment that living soul is poured into that ball of life that you don't think is life, the moment it is a living soul. There is a soul attached to that baby, that child, that fetus, that lump of matter. And you're responsible for it. you may perceive that you have gotten rid of it and you don't have to deal with it anymore, but that's actually not the case. The day will come when you will lay down and die, and your soul will go up before the throne of the living Yahweh. And that living soul you cut off is going to go against you. It's so funny because forever you hear, since I can remember, you would hear preachers preaching the fire and brimstone against homosexuality, but they don't do that with abortion. They don't say to these women, you are committing abortion, you are committing a murder, and you're breaking the commandment, you're going to hell. I mean, you don't hear that. Why is that? I mean, we shouldn't do fire and brimstone condemnation anyway, but I just thought it was interesting. That's just a side note. Oh, Father, I pray that someone hears this. Just, if you're thinking about aborting a child, don't. Please don't. You are responsible for taking the choices from that entity, that little person that would become someone one day. You're responsible. Praise you, Father. Use this teaching for your glory.